What up, everybody? This is EvanForGrips.com, continuing with Project Get Me Stacking. Today we're going to do another question and answer on game selection. And this one's about, again, transitioning. This question, we didn't get a big intro from this guy, but that's okay. Hi, Evan. Been watching your videos for a few months now and seeing great results. Really happy with all the content you're producing. Keep on putting it out. Great stuff. My question is, how do I transition from full ring to 6 max cash games? Currently 10 NL, moving up to 25 NL. Cheers, Grant. And first things first, this presentation is going to be on how to transition from 9 max to 6 max. 9 max to 6 max, and the difference is just 3 less players. You know, a lot of things are going to remain the same because the button, the cutoff, the hijack, the low jack, the blinds, these guys are all going to play the same. It's just that these guys don't exist. We'll go through that in the presentation, but I just wanted to give you that illustration that really it's same players, same game, same things. Now, in the email, you say that you're currently 10 NL, moving up to 25 NL. If you're going to transition from 9 max to 6 max, I would encourage you to do it at the limit you are playing, or move up to 25 NL and then transition from 9 max to 6 max. But to transition from 9 max to 6 max while transitioning from 10 NL to 25 NL is going to be like way too much going on and is going to be really difficult to handle. So when you are making adjustments, when you are transitioning, changing games, changing limits, changing the amount of players, changing how deep you buy in, try to do one at a time. So it's fewer changes that you'll have to deal with. Anyway, we'll go straight to the presentation. I do apologize. This one has a lot of text, a lot more text than I like to have in my PowerPoint presentations, but that's because it's a pretty important topic, and I'm sure you guys won't mind. More to read means more stuff you guys can write down on your notes. So, how do we do it? 9 max to 6 max, or if you play it like on game, how to transition from 10 max to, oh yeah, they got rid of 5 max. They used to have it. So 10 max to 6 max. And this information can also be applied for switching from like 6 max to 4 max, or 6 max to 5 max, 6 max to 3 max. Not really for heads up, since dynamics really start to change there with the button being in position. But to go from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 all the way down to 3, this information is applicable. And the key thing to note is that you're still playing the same game, just with fewer players. Again, it is the same game. Same rules, same strategies, same everything, fewer players. So, your ranges for which hands you can open from the small blind, the button, cutoff, all the positions is going to remain the same. The only thing is you no longer have a UTG range with 8 players or 9 players left to act. You no longer have a UTG +1 range with 7 or 8 players left to act, and a UTG +2 range. Those 3 seats or 4 seats where you play like extra tight because you have so many players to get through don't exist anymore. So basically, the easiest way you can adjust is pretend you're playing 9 max and pretend that the first 3 seats have folded every hand. So if you're under the gun in a 6 max game, it's the same as being under the gun plus 1, 2, 3 in a 9 max game. If you are on the button in a 6 max game, it's the same as being on the button in a 9 max game, except the first 3 seats have folded. So if the cutoff opens in a 6 max game and you're on the button, you play it pretty much the exact same as you would if you were playing a 9 max game and you were on the button and the cutoff opened. So strategy-wise, everything remains the same. The only real difference is going to be, since those first 3 seats don't exist, you're going to be facing more late position opens. You're going to be facing more middle position opens. and people are probably going to open, and therefore, like a wider range of hands. They're going to have more weaker hands that they're playing than they would be in 9 max, where ranges are pretty tight because of the existence of those first 3 positions, where people have to play pretty honest, and therefore anyone reacting to opens or even limps from those seats have to play pretty honest as well. I'm going to start with what not to do and then go to what to do, because I feel like people kind of overdo it when going from 9 max to 6 max, and they're just like, oh man, the blinds are coming around so often, people are opening a lot, people are 3-betting a lot, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I got to like really adjust, and they overcompensate for their adjustments. Now, yes, it will feel like people are raising more and that certain players are raising more frequently, but that's because they're playing their middle position and late position ranges, not their early position ranges that they would in 9 max. If you looked at how someone plays in 9 max and you isolated, their middle and late position play, the frequencies, the amount of hands they raise is probably going to be pretty similar whether they're playing 9 max or 6 max. You just ignore those first 3 seats. So do not start opening 50% of hands from every position. Don't start playing anything suited, anything connected, um, any pair from any position. You still want to, be positionally aware, play the most hands on the button, and progressively less hands the worse your position is. So under the gun, you might open somewhere between 12 and 18% of your hands. But on the button, you can open, anywhere from 35 to 70% of your hands. But that's because of your position. In 9 max under the gun, you might only open like the top 4 to 6%. I don't really know. But I'm sure when you're playing 9 max, you don't open that same under the gun range when you're on the button. So it's the same in 6 max. You also don't want to 3-bet every hand because, quote unquote, no one gets a hand shorthanded. Just because your opponents are playing, wider ranges because they're opening from later position, doesn't mean that they're playing the top 50% of hands. They're going to have, wider ranges in each position going from, 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way up to 50, sometimes higher. And based on which position they're opening from, you're going to want to 3-bet more when they're opening wider ranges. But it doesn't mean you 3-bet every hand, because most players are not playing every hand. And yes, the blinds are going to come around more often, but don't feel like you're getting eaten up by the blinds and you're getting crushed by everyone who's opening in steal positions and you're folding too much, because if you want to stay afloat with the blinds, you still only have to win 1 pot per orbit. So that means, playing a top 16% hand as opposed to raising a top 10% hand in a full ring game. And it's not like it's tournaments where keeping up with the blinds is really that important. You're still 100 big blinds deep. You're still going to just play your poker and probably make a lot more money from post-flop situations and winning medium and big pots than you are going to be from just stealing the blinds. But if you want to keep up with the blinds, you have to open 1 hand out of 6. It's more than 1 out of 10, but it's still really not that much. Now, let's get on to what you guys really want to know, which is what to do. How do I adjust from 9 max to 6 max? The first thing you want to do, surprise, surprise, is identify how your opponents are adjusting to shorthanded play. Are they adjusting properly? Are they adjusting correctly? Are they over adjusting and playing way too many hands? Are they under adjusting and not playing enough hands? Once you can identify this, you can then identify how you want to go about trying to make money from that player. If someone plays too many hands, well, you can either, attack them a lot in position and 3-bet them, or you can trap them a lot. If someone doesn't play enough hands, steal their blinds and take down pots with C-bets and don't really give them too much action. You want to play your button and your position a little more than you do in full ring. This is because when dealing with middle position and late position opens, your opponents are going to have wider ranges of hands, more holdings, therefore, on average, weaker holdings than they would if they open in full ring. and therefore you can play a few more hands and really take advantage of the fact that you have position. When someone is playing a range that doesn't consist exclusively of jacks plus and ace king, it's a lot easier to take them off a hand. Likewise, facing those late position opens, a lot of button players might open like the top half of hands. And in the cutoff, people are playing like the top 25% of hands. That's a lot of hands, and there's like a lot of junky stuff in there. So, because people are in there with a lot of trash, you want to defend your blinds more liberally than you would in full ring. But not like too liberally. You still don't want to go crazy. As a starting player, 20 to 40% of hands is probably good ones to be defending. But really, only against these late position openers and only against people who open a wide range. If someone is not adjusting very well to shorthanded play and is playing way too tight, when they open the button, you don't need to defend your blind really wide because they still have, the top 15 or 20% of hands. And also the price you're getting is important. A lot of people, when they open in late position, open for a smaller amount, like a minimum raise or a 2.5 times the big blind raise. And against a raise of that size, since you're getting better pot odds, you'll want to play a few more hands than you would facing someone's 3x, 3.5x, or even 4x open, which I think you see some of in full ring games. Also, when people raise from under the gun or under the gun one, it still is on average going to be pretty decent hands, like the top 15%. So don't feel like you need to defend your blinds like really liberally against those early position opens, even though it is 6 max play. That's a big over adjustment I see a lot of people make. Since there are fewer strong hands being dealt and fewer players seeing the flop, we're not going to be hitting the board as hard on average. So, and like people are less often to have like a really big hand. So you want to be less concerned with making the nuts and then trying to get paid, which is fairly often the general strategy for full ring play. And you want to be less concerned with trying to stack people and win stacks. 6 max is a lot more about the battle of the medium-sized pots and the battle of the small pots and who can get the better of the other player in those smaller sized pots. Um, Obviously, coolers are going to happen, and occasionally now and then you are going to win a stack. And from certain players, you're going to be able to stack them fairly often because they play pretty poorly. But the simple fact is, since you need to play more hands and more like marginal hands, you're going to be making the nuts less often than you would be in a full ring game. So it's important to learn how to get the most value out of your medium strength hands and not only be like, all right, I'm just going to wait till I make the nuts and then I'm going to get the monies. So what you really need to do, and I mean this is applicable in all forms of poker anyway, be it 9 max or 6 max, but because you get a lot involved in a lot more like close and marginal situations, it's really important to think about this, is that you want to try to play every hand as well as you can and make the best decision you can in each situation. The fact that you're going to be in a lot more close spots, a lot more tough spots, means the margin for error gets bigger. And you really want to be evaluating all your options and trying to pick the best one, because if you're doing a better job of this than your opponents, you're going to be the one who's making money. In full ring, where there are a lot of bad players on some sites, you can wait around for the nuts and get paid because people just play too loose. In 6 max, simply waiting for the nuts doesn't get the job done unless you're playing in crazy games. So just need to know how to evaluate all your options and try to find the most plus EV play. All right, Grant. I hope you found this video helpful. Obviously, making the jump from 9 max to 6 max is tough because in 9 max it's a much more like slow-paced game. It's very relaxed. You don't get put into too many difficult decisions, and it's really easy to kind of just chill out, load up a bunch of tables, follow a hand chart, and do well. 6 max having a hand chart is going to help, but you're going to have to play a lot more post flop. You're going to be playing more re-raised pots. You're going to be dealing with getting 3-bet, 4-bet, maybe even 5-bet more often. So you're going to have to know how to react. And a big thing is things are going to feel like they're happening fast, and you're going to feel like you're getting played back at a lot more than you are in full ring, which you are. But that's because you have wider ranges and your opponents have wider ranges. That doesn't mean you need to like flip out and start going all in pre-flop with ace queen or ace jack suited or medium or small pairs. Another mistake a lot of people do when they first start playing shorthanded. Control the size of the pot. Play post flop. Stick with what you know. Stick with your ranges. Get some new ranges for shorthanded play. And after a while, you will be fine. A real benefit of playing 6 max as opposed to 9 max is that if there is a fish or a donk or a weak player in the game, you get to play more pots with them simply because there are fewer people competing with you to get action from that player. And yeah, like if there are 2 bad players in a 6 max game and 4 good players, it's a lot better for you if you're one of those good players than if there are 2 bad players in a 9 max game and you're sharing with 7 other regulars as opposed to 4. So that's like one of the big benefits of playing 6 max. And the other one is, I mean, you can get more hands per hour, so you can get more rake back and more VPPs and FPPs and whatever points they have on the site that you play on. And the big thing is you get into a lot more close spots, you play a lot more post flop, which helps you get a lot better at poker a lot faster. I think on average, and most players would agree with me on this, the 6 max players are much stronger at poker than the 9 max players. They just understand things a little better. And a 6 max player is much more likely to do well if they switch to 9 max than vice versa. But that's my guess. Let me know if you guys think that's the case or if you wholeheartedly disagree with me. And let me know in the comments section. And if you started out playing 9 max and made the transition to 6 max, feel free to like share with us on the comments like how you did it, what changes you felt you needed to make, what you found helpful, what you didn't find helpful, so that we can help each other make this transition more easily. I'm not the only one who's got answers. I know that you out there watching have some answers as well. And everyone in the Grips Poker Training community would be more than happy to hear your thoughts and get your advice, because we're all here to help each other. So if you got any questions for the project, please send them to, we'll go here, evan@grips.com with the subject line, "Get me stacking," and then hopefully I can answer your question and help you get stacking. If you're finding these videos useful, if you're finding them helpful, and you want to be on the front lines when I release them, please subscribe to my channel, show your support, and they will just be waiting for you when you log into YouTube. More tips to help you get that money so you can stop printing. I hope you found the video insightful and informative. As always, this has been Evan for Grips.com saying peace.